Well, we'll get to the point. Apparently, Mr. Dismukes said on a radio, called in a radio show with Mobile today and said that Reese has been told he's going to be the starter.
I have not heard anything. That'd be news to me. So Reese did go with the first group today, and Blake worked with the second group at guard today. But I haven't said anything like that to Reese. So he is doing great, but Blake's also doing well too. And what we've done with Blake is to try to get him ready at guard also, because regardless of who ends up where, I got to cross-train some guys. That's one thing that has become a little bit more clear to me with some time here, is that I'm not going to have a full group of guys that are ready to play this year. I'm going to have 7 or 8, maybe 9, and so I'm going to have some guys that can play more than one position. And Blake is a guy that's really valuable because he's smart enough to do that. He's played some guard in the past. So at this point, nothing has been officially declared, and we're still working both those guys, and Blake is working some guard.
Have you settled on any starters yet on your offensive line?
I'd say we're really close on some. As anyone would assume, I don't think anybody's going to unseat Brandon Mosley.
Right.
At the other spots, I think we're getting fairly close to knowing who those guys are going to be, but I don't think we're ready to quite name them yet. I want to get the most that we can out of at least one more week of competition before we really kind of head more into game plan week and Utah State preparation.
You've talked about this before, but do you feel like this year you may have a 6th or 7th guy that works in there, or do you think it's just going to be 5 mostly?
I don't know yet. I don't know. In order for me to do that, I've got to have a guy that's that far off from being in the top 5. So that's possible, but I just don't know yet, particularly with some young guys. We got to see how much farther they come in the next couple of weeks.
I know you don't like to get into injuries and stuff, but I mean, are you kind of moving on from AJ, or can he be back? Or?
No, AJ practiced today. And,
he did?
Mm-hmm. And performed pretty well. So.
How big is it then for you to have, you had a couple of big scrimmages and another small one today, just to get a look at all these guys in that type of scrimmage situation?
Well, it's great, especially for the young guys. We find out a lot of things in the heat of the battle that you don't when they have a little bit more time. Generally in practice, you go 4 plays on, 4 plays off, give or take a little bit depending on the drill. But when you get in a live scrimmage and a guy's got to go 12 plays in a row, you find out about what he's got in here. You find out about his physical conditioning, but you also find whether a guy's willing to play hard through being tired. You find out if a guy can think when he's tired. Some guys get real dumb when they lose oxygen, so other guys can play through it really well. Some of that comes with youth. But yeah, those scrimmage reps are invaluable, especially for the young guys.
How important was it for AJ to make it back this week and get back, in that competition?
Oh, I think it's great. Like I've always said, the more competition we have, the better off we are. And we'll see how it goes. But I've told everybody, nobody is guaranteed a job. Now, like I said a minute ago, Brandon's done so well for a long time, and because of who he is, I think it's going to be awfully hard for anybody to keep him out of the starting lineup. But there are enough guys at other spots that there's still some element of the unknown there.
How much of a push have Greg Robinson and Christian Westerman made?
A big-time push. Because they're both talented, obviously, but they also both have the mentality that I'm looking for. Those guys, and I'd have to throw Reese in that too, because even though he was here in the spring, all 3 of those guys are still freshmen. But those guys not only have ability, but they've got the kind of toughness and mean streak and that part that I'm looking for in terms of guys that want to put somebody on the ground and play hard till the whistle. Still got a ways to go in terms of learning how to do it, but I can coach a guy like that.
You mentioned the competition, and just theoretically, if someone had asked you each day over the last 7 days what your starting lineup would be, how many different starting lineups do you suppose you'd have?
Two or three, but there's been a lot more change going on with that second group. I found out
Yeah.
a lot more with that group that's right beneath the guys that have more experience. And some guys are coming on faster than others, and so you see some guys rising to the top and bypassing these other guys, and you see some guys continue to make the same mistakes. And early on you say, okay, he's a young guy, he'll figure it out. He doesn't figure it out the next day. He doesn't figure it out the next day, and he might be a little bit longer. Or you see some other guys, may not be a freshman, maybe he's a redshirt freshman or even a sophomore, but he's kind of playing maybe a little better than he did in the spring, but not enough better maybe to match this young guy right here. So there's been a lot more of this sort of thing happening with that second group, and then these guys right here really getting close to a couple of those guys that are in what's been going with the first unit.
And they asked about Blake last night getting a scholarship in Auburn too. Pretty exciting guys.
Very much so, and both those guys deserve it, I'm so happy for Aubrey, a kid that has been through so much, and so few people really know his story and know what all he's really been through. But for him to come back here and I think he's really changed. I think he has really become a new person through all of this. And Blake, the sucker there's nobody that outworks him, and so he deserves it. He earned it, and really happy for both those guys.
Has Aubrey been practicing too?
So you'll have to talk to Coach Chiz about injury issues like that.
Was AJ with the first team today, Jeff?
What's that?
Was AJ with the first team today?
Today, no.
But he did practice, right?
He did.
Jason Duffner was talking about how neat it was to go to the team meeting and get you. I don't know if you were there for that, but you're the first person we've talked to since then. Can you just kind of tell us what that was like and what the...
Well, number one, it was cool for our kids to see that, to see an Auburn guy that has done as well as he has. And then what was really cool was just the connection that he made with our team. He huge football fan, loves it. He's up here just after this big tournament that he played in, and he starts talking about, man, I can't thank you guys enough, being at the national championship, seeing you guys win the whole thing, that was a dream come true for me, And then I think he was truly gracious and in a sense overwhelmed by the gratitude that our team, or the appreciation, the respect that our team showed to him for what he's done.